Hey, what's up, Metal Asylum fan? This is Jack Mangan here with my New Jersey friend and homeboy from way back in the day, Rich Catino. How's it going?
Hello, all.
So, this is our first intro episode to the MetalAsylum.net podcast, and we're really just, this one's not going to be about anything really in particular. Future episodes will be, of course. This one is really to tell you about us, what our goal is, and just what you can expect from us, and also what we won't tolerate.
Right, like you said, no, don't be a dick.
Yeah, don't be a dick. And also, this is metal, so if you can't handle some foul language, then you should probably fuck off, because you know, this is. I also do a work podcast, so this is also my opportunity to curse on podcasts. So,
cool, no filter.
Yeah, I'm juvenile in that way. But yeah, I mean, Rich is right. Rich and I actually, we're fucking metal enthusiasts and fans, lifelong fans. But you know what? Rich and I met by both of us were guitarists in a band that was decidedly not metal. It was
not metal at all.
Right.
But we made all of our rehearsals slightly metal, because we would always, as we're kind of, a yin and yang of interests, but also kind of almost like kindred spirits in the same of what we like to play.
Right. Yeah, in between like doing Radiohead covers and YouTube stuff and our own originals that were kind of like classic rock, Rich and I be jamming out the riff to Looks That Kill or Tooth and Nail. That's what I remember.
Absolutely. Old Iron Maiden, like you said, Prowler earlier when we were talking, or Run to the Hills, or oh my God, I mean, there's Power Slave, I remember, and Roy Ancient Mariner,
right,
and especially Halloween,
right, yeah,
right, Future World, I Want Out, Ride the Sky, all kinds of stuff.
Yeah, I mean, well, no, but here's the thing. I was gonna say if you don't like Halloween, then, but you know what? No, I'm going to take that back. If you don't like Halloween, then you still should listen. If you like music at all, you should really listen, because I'll pat ourselves on the back a little bit. We're two pretty smart, insightful guys who, we love metal, but we love music too. Rich actually likes a lot of shit that I don't like, and vice versa. But, that doesn't mean that Rich is a pussy or Rich is wrong because he likes the stuff that I'm like for one example, Rich will defend Bon Jovi far more than I will.
Absolutely. But I'm talking. We're talking old stuff, though. Remember, let's say that my defense is from the first album up to Keep the Faith, and then afterwards, I'll admittedly say that they lost me and they got weaker and weaker, which I've told you that before too. Yeah,
like I said, I'm picking on your musical taste. I mean,
Right.
Like I said, I respect it. If you come on, I know you're not going to say that you like Nickelback, but if we have someone on that says yeah, fucking Nickelback rocks,
right?
Whatever, more power to them. Let them enjoy it. I don't give a shit, and I'm not going to tolerate that from you. If you want to send us a message or chime in on Facebook or however, contact us some way or another and tell us that we're assholes because we don't like your favorite Slayer album as much as you do. Well then. I don't give a shit.
Right.
I'm
I think we'll definitely admit those. I think we both agree that Diabolos was definitely not a smart decision for them.
Right. Speaking of Slayer, yeah. I mean, for me, actually, I'll say my first maybe controversial thing. For me, South of Heaven is it. I don't think Rain and Blood is their best. I think South of Heaven is the best. That's pretty fair. I think for doing something different within what they do a little bit, but being themselves, maybe it was a little bit better than Rain and Blood. Right.
But Rain and Blood front to back is pretty ripping and slamming, though, for them establishing an album that was a thrash classic too. So I don't know, it's kind of tough. I'm kind of torn between the two.
For me, Rain and Blood, you can't have a better opener, and you can't have a better closer. I mean, Rain and Blood and Angel of Death.
Exactly.
That's pretty hard to beat.
But South of Heaven has a little bit more of the diversity.
Right.
And the singing, which I like maybe more a little bit about South of Heaven.
Right. I mean, what a great song, South of Heaven. And, and you know, there's another one, The Closer's pretty great. Spill the Blood is a pretty great song.
Yeah.
But wait a minute, you know, this first episode isn't about Slayer, so...
Right. Right. But,
you know,
this is a perfect example of how our little back and forth thing could be.
But, you know, Rich and I, we basically agree. Like I said, I mean, we can probably get more into it. You'll hear us disagree a little more. We talk about, like, say, Mastodon. Like, Mastodon's great albums, to me, are fucking brilliant. But I know Rich is not really much of a fan. That's cool.
No, not in my wheelhouse, but I appreciate what they do, though.
Right. You know, again, I don't. That doesn't mean that Rich is a pussy. It means, you know, like I said, I respect Rich's opinion, and I hope he respects mine.
I totally do. Well, that's why, as we're talking and I'm looking at the things that we reviewed this year, the different cross section and the variety of between what you and I have reviewed, the variety that people can get out of reading all the new music that's out there. You know?
That is a great point. I think, and I feel like in this era, 2016, 2017, you know, the mid-teens, I feel like we've had a great Doom revival. Which you talked about for several reviews. Like, I'm looking right now, I just see a review of With the Dead is up here. Right. I remember we interviewed, or you know, we have an interview with Lee Dorian on the site, who's, you know, what a great guy. I mean, he's so funny and cool, even though his music hates you, but you know, he doesn't. But yeah, I love the Doom. Doom is, and I didn't grow up on Doom. I grew up on Metallica, Maiden, AC/DC, you know, all
Doom and me.
Right. But
Candlemass and Trouble are those two, you know, bands, the cornerstone of Doom, aside from the 70s Black Sabbath. You got them, and then you have Trouble and Candlemass, and that's pretty much kind of where With the Dead comes from, is that wheelhouse.
Right. Yeah, of course. I mean, yeah, it is. It's the next generation. Of course, Lee Dorian goes back to Napalm Death and Cathedral. So he's been around. Oh, the Cathedral is, you know, a great... Right,
another one, too. Yeah, that would be like the big three.
Right. And, you know, and a lot of times in my reviews I'll kind of call it stoner doom, because I think they're two... There's such a thing as stoner rock or stoner metal, and I think stoner and doom have kind of crossed paths a little bit.
They have, totally.
But, you know, I mean, that's not the only thing I love. I mean, doom is what's on my mind right now, but I love thrash. I love new wave of British heavy metal. I love some death metal. I think Draconian is maybe my favorite band of this decade. Favorite band I discovered. Here's one that Rich and I definitely disagree on, but I love Fear Factory to pieces. That's one of my favorites.
I like them too. I'm not really a fan. I don't own too much of it, but if I have to pick some industrial metal to listen to, I'll pick a couple old Fear Factory albums, you know? Right.
But, you know, I mean, enough about me. You know, like, we'll talk about, you should, you know, talk about some of the shit that you're into right now. I won't call it shit. Some of the stuff that you're digging at.
Well, we're talking about the new stuff that came out. You're talking about thrash metal. Remember, I turned you on to the new Evil Invaders, Feed Me Violence.
Right.
That was one of them. And then the other band was Vulture. Do you remember that band?
Yes.
Kind of very like-minded to Evil Invaders. Their new album, what was it called? The Guillotine.
Right. Yeah, you wrote reviews of both of those.
Yeah, both of those. Yep. And what else am I looking at here? That's on the list for the thrash stuff, newer stuff. Harlot was another one that was pretty good. I don't know if you recall checking those guys out.
To be honest, I don't, but I will.
Okay. They're on the list. Harlot wasn't bad. What else came out this year? I know there's a few more we still have to catch up on a little bit, too, before the end of the year. And then, of course, you have good old Overkill, who put out a new album this year, The Grinding Wheel.
Right.
They're pretty reliable and consistent.
I'm speaking for both of us, one of our favorite bands of all time.
Yes. Another one we used to jam with when we used to jam.
Yes.
You know, jamming out Rotten and, I mean, both of our favorite albums, Taking Over, so countless times. Powers. I mean, how many times did we play Power Surge? And Electro Violence, right?
Yeah, if only we could have gotten our rock band to cover Electro Violence.
Right, and then we finally got it on this past tour, too.
Right. Yeah, I've been loving the old stuff they've been doing. So if you guys are listening, Bobby, Dee Dee, any of you guys if you're listening. We love the new stuff. No, I don't mean as a cut, but love the old stuff.
Yep. And thanks again for throwing in whatchamacallit, Electro-Violence finally. It's been a while. Many years since they played that one, so.
Right. Yeah, I'd love a whole tour. They play the whole thing taking over. I would love it.
Yeah, they could. Like they did that over in Europe. They did first one and Horoscope a few years ago.
Wow, that would be amazing.
That's coming out on DVD, I think, next year. So I think that'd be really cool if they did. Probably taking over, and I would say the Years of Decay.
Yeah, I mean,
any of
right. I mean, any of the ones from Horoscope back, and again, that's not a cut. They've put out some brilliant material since Horoscope, of course. I mean, the Ironbound, Wide Fucking Open had
absolutely
had some classics on it.
I'd say.
So hey, one more thing you need to know about our podcast is that it has a timer and it just runs out. So we're looking at 3.5 minutes to go, and when the timer runs out, then we're going to kind of just cut the thought. So we're going to talk about stuff like like Maiden, which you cannot talk about Maiden in 20 minutes.
Right.
So obviously those discussions, we'll do them for our 20 minutes at pop, but then we'll get back to it.
New music and old music, always new music.
Yep.
Very important where we are now, not where we came from. Just.
Yeah. Right. I mean, that is a misnomer about metal, that its best days are in its past. I mean, I
mean, trust me, the golden years totally were the 70s and the 80s, but especially the 80s. But everybody's still making new music, and there's still newer bands making new music that are based in the roots from the past. So it's just as important.
Just because Metallica aren't as good as they used to be doesn't mean that the whole scene is not as good as it used to be.
Exactly. Very good point. Are there any albums on this list that I'm looking at here you think we should make a shout-out to as we're talking about them?
With the Dead album, for sure. That came out this year. One of my favorites. My favorite album of the year is kind of sad for 2017. It's Kai Hansen's Thank You Bakken. That's my favorite album of the year. And there's not really not much new material.
That's cool, though, because that's leading into the Halloween reunion that's coming around next year.
Yep.
All the other countries are getting it this year, and we're going to get it next year in September.
Well, that's in New York in September. They're going to be here, I think, for a couple of months. I know they're playing L.A., they're playing Vegas.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. They're hitting a couple shows for America.
Yeah, I mean, again, we talked about Halloween. Halloween is one of those kind of foundation bands. And, of course, like Rich said, I mean, the 80s, the heyday. I mean, that's... Yeah. That's kind of when they were at their peak. That's when they broke. That's when they were at their peak.
Yeah.
But, still rocking today. I mean...
Oh, yeah, they had a revival. They had a revival in the 90s, late 90s, early 2000s when everybody thought that music was dead. With Master of the Rings and The Time of the Oath and Better Than Raw, The Dark Ride, great albums, Right.
No, they didn't go away just because metal kind of became the spotlight. Stopped shining on metal for a little bit. Metal
became unpopular in America. Didn't matter.
Right.
The bands over there were still making great music.
One of my favorite bands, Opeth, started in the 90s. So metal is
right. Yes.
Devin Townsend's another one.
Yep.
Sorry, man. We got less than a minute. So, Rich, why don't you take us on out? We got less than a minute.
Well, we'll see you on the next round. We'll pick a topic a little more specific next time. Maybe we'll talk about what we liked from the past year, and maybe like a year-end list kind of a thing, because this is 2 days before Thanksgiving.
Well, you're hearing it later than that, but we're recording right before Thanksgiving.
Right. Yeah, this is 2 days before.
Right.
So, yeah, we got to think of what we've listened to this year, all the new stuff and reissues and things, and kind of a best of kind of thing to talk about, 2017.
Absolutely. And we have some discussion topics planned out.
Right.
Oh, shit.
What happened?
You hear it?
Yep. Now I do. That's the bell, the ring of the bell, the toll. For whom the bell tolls?
Then not for whom the bell tolls. It tolls for thee. All right, man. Well, thanks, man. What we need to come up with a stupid saying like Ricky Rackman. What do you say? Keep your foot in the gutter and your fist in the gold. What are you?
Oh my God, that's right. I don't know. We have to think of some kind of theme for the asylum.
You know, Ricky Rackman gets a pass. You know, he was corny, but you know, he gets a pass. Anyway, thanks, man. This has been it's been fun. Hopefully, it's been fun to listen to. It's been a fun first episode.